welcome to this week's 10-minute wellness break. I'm your co-host, JoeGirl Lozon, and I'm joined by my friend and wellness practitioner, Rhonda Amer in Jerusalem. And today we're talking about self-worth. So self-worth might mean something very different to you than it means to me, than it means to Rhonda, than it means to anybody on the planet.
Yeah.
So we invite you right now to kind of get out of your head and onto the paper. And Rhonda, you might do a better job of explaining the exercise.
Okay. All right.
Go for it.
So we're trying to build on previous weeks. So last week we did talk about confidence, and it is somehow related to self-worth.
Absolutely.
When I say self-worth, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? What's the first thought? If you can identify that. And then I would like to ask, what's the feeling that you have when you hear the word or the term self-worth? And just sit with it for a few seconds and try to feel it. How does it feel? Does it feel pleasant or maybe not? Is it a warming feeling or a cold feeling? And if you can, give this a shape or a word, what would that look like for you? So once you spend those few seconds, I do invite you to take your pen and a piece of paper and just put that thought and that feeling on paper and see how it might look like for you. It can be a doodle, it can be a sketch, a word, or anything. So feel free, nobody's going to see that. It's just you and the paper. Is it sharp? Maybe it has edges. Or maybe it's smooth.
Is it chaotic or is it structured and orderly?
Yeah.
Is it just words? Like, do you just feel compelled to write words down that relate to your sense of self-worth, which is fine too.
Yeah. And when you feel you're ready, just mention that in the comments so we know that you actually took the time to do that.
So for those of you just joining, we're just taking a moment with a pen and paper to express visually or with words what self-worth feels like to us, what it looks like to us. So is it a doodle? Is it a shape? Is it a series of marks? Is it scribbles? Is it words? Is it just a brief kind of a journal entry? So we'll take another 30 seconds or so, do you think, Rhonda, to people just to catch up and do that? Okay.
And maybe you can share in the comments, if you're comfortable, how did it feel for you? Did it feel like something easy to do, or was it challenging? And I apologize if you hear any noises in my background.
Not so
It's just when everybody's home, it's like that.
Yeah, it's a different time for you, for sure.
Yeah.
Dinner time. Yeah. And if anybody wants to share what came up for them too in the chat, we'd be welcome to seeing those types of words too. So I'll share mine if anybody wants to see. So I started with a circle on the page, and then I put a heart in the middle of it. So contained love, right? And then just little like sparks around it. And then I let myself think about what words come to me when I think about self-worth. So I started with validation, approval, reassurance, self-love, and acceptance are the words that I put around my heart.
Yeah.
Helena Barnes Studios Designs writes, a little heart with my initial in the middle. Not easy, but I know we've got to love ourselves. Yeah, that's nice, Helen.
And somebody else said respect and growth. And somebody else said wobbly circle came to mind.
Interesting.
And
A
see,
wobbly
yeah,
circle.
it's
Okay.
all very interesting, and there's no judgment here because
No, no, no,
honestly,
no.
my sketch is completely different than Joe's, completely different than what you just described, which is totally fine. And that
Mm-hmm.
is the thing that distinguishes us as individuals, is that we are unique in our own way. And the reason that we asked that you use a pen is that there are certain things in life you can't erase. And the same with this exercise. Like, there are things that you might place on a piece of paper that maybe you don't like, and they are there, and we need to accept that they are there.
Mm-hmm.
But the question is, what do we do with that? What do we
Right.
do if our self-worth is not how we would like it to be?
Mm-hmm.
For some people, it might look great, and that's fabulous. But for others, there are some struggles with that.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't mean that we can't do anything about it. And often, self-worth is influenced by internal and external factors. External factors like how people treat us, our experiences in life, our successes, and internal factors, and mainly I want to stress on that, is how we see our own selves. And that is affected by so many things. And often um, it got shaped when we were children.
Mm-hmm.
And when we talk about childhood wound or childhood experiences, it is true, it does shape who we are. And
Mm-hmm.
as children, we see ourselves through the eyes of the significant people around us, and usually parents, siblings. So if we had
Mm-hmm.
a positive experience, that positively uh, influences how we see ourselves, our self perception. And if it was a negative one, if it was a traumatic one, then that might have been influenced
Mm-hmm.
negatively.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So moving
Um,
forward, like what are some of the ways that we can, because we can't change how
things
external
work.
things
And
influence,
yeah,
we can change how they influence us for sure. We can choose what to accept in terms of other people's reactions to us and how they try to influence us with their behavior and their choices. But the only thing that we can change is our internal sense of validation and our internal sense of self-worth and how we choose to respond to those external
absolutely. Yeah.
circumstances. So what are some of the things, quickly, because we're running out of time,
Yes.
that
So
we can
quickly.
do to start nurturing our sense of self-worth a little bit more?
Yeah. I would start with the first one. It's try to accept. And
Mm-hmm.
self-criticism and judgment is really, um, it's deadly. Honestly, it
Yeah, it
crushes the
is. It
person.
is. It
So
does.
try to accept things and
Mm-hmm.
even mistakes, and take
Mm-hmm.
them as learning experiences, as we
Mm-hmm.
mentioned last week in
Last
regards
week,
to
yeah.
confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's similar things,
Very
having
similar.
more
Yeah.
self-compassion,
Mm-hmm.
forgive yourself for certain things,
Mm-hmm.
and appreciate also your strengths
Yeah.
and the positive things within you.
Mm-hmm.
You need to acknowledge that and be
Mm-hmm.
aware of that.
Yeah.
And that requires changing the lens with which we view ourselves as well.
Yes.
Because if it's a negative one, um, we can't see the positives.
No,
So
it's very hard to get out of that hole.
self-acceptance,
Mm-hmm.
exactly, self-acceptance, compassion,
Mm-hmm.
forgiveness,
Mm-hmm.
non-judgmental, and see the good
Kindness.
in you.
Yeah,
Be kind to
kindness.
yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And looking for
absolutely.
little quick wins and keeping those promises to yourself, right? Like,
Yes.
even if it's something as simple as making your bed every day for a week, just little quick
Yeah.
wins that can help you just build up your sense of self-worth and self-love and appreciation for yourself. Yeah.
And
Beautiful.
also expectation.
Oh my gosh,
Expectation.
that's a huge one. We'll
Yeah,
have to talk about that another
exactly.
week.
Maybe next week.
Beautiful.
We'll see.
Yes.
So,
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. I hope some light bulbs went off for everybody. And thank you, Rhonda, of course, for leading us in
thank
this lovely
you.
wellness break.